Okay, part two. So it's 8:22, and my video got cut off because something happened. I'm going to be heading to the store shortly, but when I understand when people are indoctrinated. And anytime a person's indoctrinated, it's one thing to accept the dogmatic beliefs in your religion. There's nothing wrong with that, okay? But when you have become indoctrinated into um, cult, a cult, okay, where they participate in terrorism, and that's a form of terrorism. Anytime you uh, form a group to um, harass a person, want to take something of theirs that has some sort of value in this situation, like your employment, or fight for a particular position in the manner that they have, then that's a form of negative indoctrination. And there are some weak-minded people in this world, okay, who some people mean well, but they are weak-minded. There are some people who find themselves gravitating towards cults, um, and it's very appealing to do that because it's a sense of belonging, which is something that every person needs. Every human being needs a sense of belonging in some form or another. Some people are satisfied having a sense of belonging to one person. Some people have a sense of belonging. They want to be a part of a group. Okay, so when they do that, but they don't really realize or think about whether this issue is right or wrong. This issue is wrong, okay? And you can say, well, some people, for example, a lot of the issues that are used against me are based on personal opinions. Like some people wear tennis shoes, okay? I don't wear tennis shoes, and when I do wear tennis shoes, I wear them for the function that they're used for. Like, for example, walking. Now, some tennis shoes are made for regular casual wear, meaning you can go to the store in them, you can go walking in them, you can go to whatever. But see, in my life, I've always had things separate. Like, even when I used to go to Sunday school when I was a young kid, my mom used to send us to a Baptist church for a little bit, okay? We weren't members, we were just like kind of going there. But I had separate dresses for church, I had separate clothes for school, I had such separate clothes like hand me downs and stuff like that I would wear at home. And so this is something that maybe my siblings don't do, but I still kind of do. I still kind of separate and compartmentalize things. That's a personal choice. You know what I mean? And so, there's always conflict with people, okay? But when it comes to employment, it's the person in charge of the hiring, it's the administrative staff, to make sure that there's a separation between, there's a sense of security, like there's protection of people's privacy, and what's going on out in the street is not supposed to be able to come into the workplace, and vice versa. So if you hear negative comments about a person coming out of a company, then that's wrong, because you can get in trouble for slander or whatever. It's not professional, So it's just, I'm seeing a lot of you know, um, unprofessional behavior that goes on in the workplace. And so that's what I'm talking about. So anyway, I know that people I don't know what it is. The purpose of my sister Tanya and this is the last video I want to do addressing them. I do want to talk about human trafficking, and I do want to talk about gang stalking because I think it's a very important topic. I really do. Okay. But this is the last video that I'm going to make that's going to address people by name, hopefully. Okay. Because I don't want to bring them up anymore. Okay. There is no way in the world that somebody can defend these people with any clear conscience. Okay. Because everything that they've done shows that what their intention was to sabotage and hurt a person. It wasn't done to help anyone. Okay? And if let's just say my family wasn't guilty, which I know that they are. Okay? But if they aren't guilty, then they are basically careless, thoughtless people, because I know when I first started making these videos, I sent my videos to not only Karen Johnson, but I also sent the video to my ex-sister Tanya. So she would be, if she wasn't involved, which we know that she is, if she wasn't involved, then she would be somebody who would watch her sibling going through this gang stalking issue, and she's turning a blind eye. Okay, so obviously we know that I'm holding people accountable. You know what I mean? And so I'm just basically saying is that I don't want to deal with them anymore. It's like, I've dealt with that, and it's not a matter of me wanting to keep dragging it on. I do believe that this issue really does need to be discussed. It needs to be discussed in open circles. It needs to be discussed in professional circles. It's a very important situation, because this sort of crime is being played out in broad daylight. It's hidden in plain sight. We see people in the workplace, and they tend to be targets of gossip, unfounded gossip, illogical gossip. Okay, and we wonder about these people. We see these people at work, and other people in the company are able to take advantage of certain privileges, but this particular person isn't. When you have these sort of restrictions on one person only, that person might be a victim of human trafficking. Okay, especially if there's talk about this person's house being under surveillance, these sort of things. Okay, why is this person being singled out all the time? Okay, so if you see this sort of activity, it's your moral responsibility to report this sort of activity. Okay, because there's a lot of people that right now who are working among you, who you guys are talking about. You're kind of isolating this person, but you don't know what's really going on. You're just doing it because it's based on rumor. Don't ever treat somebody based on what a rumor is, or whatever you hear, because it may not be true. Oftentimes, what I'm trying to, I want to illustrate this in my presentation about how handlers, I call them handlers, people who somehow gain access through, your previous employers, who somehow have the ability to convince other people that they have authority over their target or whatever. Handlers get control by rumors, by innuendo, by all these sort of campaigns. The reason why is because they want to change your view of that person, so that person is not likable, or they become ostracized, so that it can be isolated, so they don't receive the help that they get, that they need. Okay, like right now, I would not be able to negotiate, with an employer, because they're the ones who are in control. Do you see what I'm saying? So that right there shows you that this is a tactic of human trafficking, gang stalking. I know for a fact that my ex-sister Tanya had no intentions, good intentions for me. The very fact, the kind of slander or the information that's circulating around me, obviously isn't favorable to me. So it's negative, right? So she wants to go after my job because she's jealous. And see, employment law is supposed to protect people from that. Like, let's just say you work for a big company. No one's supposed to know what you make. No one's supposed to see copies of your pay stub. As a matter of fact, there's some companies that I've worked for in the past that were a little bit more professional, who understood and respected privacy. That if, let's just say, for example, you decide to take off that Friday, right? And then you have your paycheck every Friday or every other Friday, right? And so you don't get direct deposit, or maybe you do, but you still need your stub, okay? There are some companies that you have to authorize a person to pick up your pay stub. Okay, yeah, it's, people think, I can give her her husband my paycheck. The pay stub. That's nothing wrong with that. But maybe there might be. Okay, not all husbands and wives want to share that information, and for good reason. Sometimes it needs to be private. So, some people take those extra measures. Okay, but whatever the case is, there are certain people who should not be privy to that. And so there's a lot of sloppy things that go on in the workplace. You know, the outside intrusion, allowing other people to have access to employment. To me, that's like the ultimate. Like, you know, like I said, you know, when you are a victim of human trafficking, they try to control the person. You know, they want to choose where you live. They want to keep you isolated. They want to keep your home under surveillance. You know, it's a very sick thing. So if you hear this sort of stuff going on, you're either, you know, guilty of the crime yourself, or if you turn a blind eye to it, then you're allowing it to happen. Okay, it's wrong. It's wrong. So somebody should be doing something about it. And I know they do these sort of things under the guise of, well, it's an investigation. These investigations are illegal. Okay, I think she was trying to prove her point about the issue of when I left the farmer's place. I don't know what the issue is. If indeed I did have Stephen Lyle stalking me at that time, okay, obviously I didn't know about it, but that doesn't prove anything. So whether he was stalking me or not, I don't know anything about it. So what are you trying to prove? That maybe I'm seeing him? I'm not seeing him. But even if I was seeing him, what does that have to do with the harassment that took place at the place of employment? It doesn't. Okay, so no matter what you think or what you're trying to prove or whatever, it doesn't hold any water. You know, this whole thing, this whole big ball of chaos was created by them. I had no intentions of leaving my ex-husband at the time. None. But when all this issue started going on with my employment, and I started thinking that he had something to do with it, I got to take care of me. Okay? Now, a lot of people don't understand why people should never allow their husbands to have any say in their employment. They don't understand that. I'm telling you why. Because you can abuse a woman badly. Okay? And, you know, some people, like my ex-sister Tanya, she comes from this cult type mentality where, you know, she's convinced that men, and you know, I would say men usually are the head of the household, okay? But that does not give a man the right to abuse a woman, to literally walk over her, okay? If a woman has a career or whatever she has, you know, it's not his responsibility to take that from her. Just like, for example, let's just say, for example, I came from a wealthy family. Obviously I don't, okay? But I came from a wealthy family, right? And my family sent me to this, I don't know, expensive university. And since I'm come from a wealthy family, I'm not going to get a grant. You know, I'm going to have, my parents are going to shell out that money, and I've actually gone there. So I ended up marrying somebody. And then this man's going to sit here and say, well, I'm going to go ahead and take over her employment. You're going to take my asset away from me? I don't think so. You know, I never asked anybody in my family, my ex-husband or whatever, I never asked anybody, you know, hey, give me a hand up. I never did that. Okay, so the fact that they think that they can take that is wrong. You know, if they did arrange a job, my ex-husband's family arranged a job for me at one time, well, thank you, but I never asked for it. Okay, but it's still my skill. It's still my asset. It's still mine. You know what I mean? I perform the labor. Okay, so if that's human trafficking. Basically what it is. So I want to also do another video later about references, the importance of them. Why? Because, you know, here, what I want to talk about when it comes to references is that, let's just say, for example, you have a bunch of friends, okay? You got 3 great friends, okay? And all of you guys are doing great. You guys are all doing great, and you decide to change jobs, so one of your friends gives you a job reference to work somewhere else, right? And then all of a sudden, like, the economy changes, and the next thing you know, the friend that gave you the job or helped you get that job, they're down on their luck. And now they see you thriving. Okay? And so they get in their mind, wait a second, I remember helping her get that job one time. I don't want her doing that anymore. Can they legally do that? No, they can't. Okay? But they can under a corrupt system. When you sign your employment contract, your paperwork, your agreements, you know, those finalizations of getting hired, whatever, okay? That's between you and the employer. Okay? So that's why I'm telling you, be careful about who refers you to jobs. Be careful about that. Okay? Be willing to be more autonomous if you have to be. Because these people were going to try their bullshit. And the thing is that you should never have to be put in a situation when you didn't agree for them to arrange your job. Okay? That's a trafficking issue right there. So open your eyes. Be careful about those sort of things. Okay? I would prefer to only have references from people who've got their shit together. Okay? And I mean like solid shit together. Because you're going to get people like my ex-sister Tanya. My sister Tanya struggles, okay? She struggles, okay? That's one of the reasons why my dad didn't want her to marry him in the first place. Because he didn't have his shit together. The very fact that he was, illegally, dishonorably discharged. Okay? My dad felt like that was going to give him a shaky foundation. And he didn't like that, okay? And I'm not trying to drag these people through the mud. But my point is that I'm losing my train of thought because I'm tired and I got a lot of things to do. But my thing is that the employment sector, people in these positions, okay, need to be trained correctly. If you are a job seeker, okay, you can't trust the employment system. You can't do it. You know what I mean? I wish I did have the ability to, if I had my own business, that would be great. I don't have anything to sell as my own business. So I'm a worker bee. I have to look for work, and I don't want to be associated with my family because my family is extremely abusive to me. They don't like you. And why would you want anything from somebody who doesn't like you? And they can say, oh, I'm sorry, whatever. But let's just face it. Even let's just say, for example, my sister Tanya's sorry. Okay, so she's sorry, right? She is still going to be abusive to me. Why? Because she sees me as competition. As a competition that is not, some people have like that little competition. They might see somebody that they perceive to be, I don't know, better than them. But they don't get that twisted off in the head. Okay? Like when I mentioned that girl that I knew back in grade school, like the girl who did all the dances and stuff like that. I remember at first I was like, oh man, okay, you're great, whatever. But I got over it and we became friends. All right? And some people you may not ever become friends with them. But you can still just be like, oh, okay, well, isn't she something, whatever. But this sort of thing where it stews in your mind, where you have to literally come up with plans to fuck someone's life over. That is envy. Okay? And there's no point in having a relationship with people like that. You need to walk away from them. I'm telling you right now. Okay? Because it will never end. So anyway, be careful with references. Okay? Because references, your reference might be in a position to give you a job one day. But if they find out, if they lose what they had, then they might want to be a little bit, they might want to come back and try to take it back. Okay? Which really, they can't. Okay? They can't. I do remember, I want to mention this one time, that I remember when I was working over at Organized Sports. Okay? And I had pretty good money in the bank at the time. I was doing pretty good. And I got in a car accident. Wouldn't you know? Somebody rear-ended me, okay? I was going to work. I was living in the Antelope Valley. I was going to work. I was at a traffic light, and somebody a newspaper girl, okay? She was delivering papers. She was delivering them from her car, okay? But she wasn't really paying attention. She slammed into the back of my car. All right? I ended up getting a dent in my car. Okay? I had plenty of money. I remember taking that money, and I wasn't trying to be arrogant. I wasn't trying to be snotty. I wasn't trying to one up anybody. I remember times where my ex-family, my ex-brother-in-law and my ex-sister, I'm talking about Lisa and Jeff Hughes, okay, fixed my car, did things for me. So what I wanted to do was, I remember giving them some money, and I think I took them to their daughter. I took their daughter to the mall and wanted to take her shopping. Okay, I wanted to spend some time with my niece. And I remember the look on the face of my sister, and they actually got mad about it. They got mad about it. And I didn't feel as though, and I kept thinking, why? I wanted to show my appreciation. I was in a position to show my appreciation for what they've done for me in the past. And they probably did it reluctantly, and they probably did it like when they regretted me. But in the back of my mind, I kept thinking, if I ever had the chance to give them back something, I would give it back to them. So at that time, I was like, okay, I can do this now. I want to do something. But I was met with nothing but contempt. So when I told my ex-husband this story, he and I would stay up and talk at night, and he said, some people want to smite you just because, right? And he said, well, they took it as an offensive thing. I kept thinking, and it hurt me that they did that. It hurt me that they did that. But then that wasn't enough. They felt like they wanted to own the whole shebang, So I know these people don't give a shit about me. I know that they are whatever. So I accept that, and I'm gonna move on. So anyway, I gotta go pick up a couple grocery items, and I'm gonna head out, and then I will be back home. Yeah, I've got my overalls. I decided, these overalls for home and stuff like that, they're very warm and they're comfortable. No, I don't want to wear overalls all the time, but they're practical for me, and some people might think I'm a little hokey or whatever, but I'm not at work right now, okay? And what I do after work is my business, you know what I mean? And I just, I'm just tired of my family. I'm just tired of them, so I want to get out of the mindset of constantly thinking about them. It would be nice if I did get some sort of formal confirmation, like if something, and I know this sounds terrible, but I would feel better if I knew that they were arrested, or if something happened to where they died and I got notification of their death. Why? Because I want to make sure I don't have to deal with their shit again. That's how much trauma and stress and hurt they've caused me. And it makes sense, right? Anyway, enough being said, I'm going to wrap this video up, and I'll be back with a video some other time. I got a lot on my plate today. I'm going to be working on my videos and finishing up my PowerPoint lessons, so I got a lot on my schedule. Talk to you later. Bye.